Hello. There's a lot of hubbub these days about equity and equality. People talk past each other all the time as they mock and ridicule one another on social media. Overgeneralizations are made about people wanting either equity or equality, which doesn't quite make sense. In one respect, actually, it's quite simple. Here's the short version. We all want equity. Sometimes equality is the right way to get equity, and sometimes it's not. That's it. If you want the longer version so you can think and speak about this topic more clearly with the people in your communities, then give me a few minutes of your time. Equity just means fairness. It is acting in accord with justice. Everyone agrees that's good. Of course, there are jerks in the world who steal and murder because they're selfish bastards, but in general, if asked if we prefer equity to inequity, fairness to unfairness, or justice to injustice, we all agree. The problem, of course, is what does equity, fairness, and justice look like? Sometimes we all agree. A person who commits first-degree murder should be punished by the state. Sometimes we don't. Should that murderer be executed? What is fair and just? Suddenly, there are different competing notions about what constitutes an equitable punishment for murder. And obviously, there are plenty of intelligent, informed people of goodwill who disagree with each other, who have different ideas about what equity should look like. Okay, that was easy. Now on to equality. Sometimes we want people treated equally. Sometimes we do not. And sometimes we argue with each other about it. When I'm grading papers, I should not use a different standard for students I like, or the many students I despise, or students of any particular identity group. They should all be treated the same according to objective standards. That is, they should all be treated equally. And I think we all agree. When I give a written test to a class, there is often a student in that class with dyslexia. That student is going to read the questions more slowly and perhaps write more slowly. And it's often the case that students in that situation are given 50% more time to take the test. Is that fair? I think the vast majority of people would agree that it's fair and equitable. I can imagine doing the same for a student who is relatively new to learning English. But it's not treating them equally. Yeah, but I believe it's equitable. It's fair. With federal income tax, the wealthy pay a higher percentage of their income in tax. If you think that's good and just, okay, I agree with you. But again, in this case, treating people equitably does not mean treating them equally. And yes, I know there are people out there who want a flat tax. Remember, sometimes we disagree about what fairness looks like. Now, we have to be careful, because when we talk about equality, people can mean different things. We can talk about equality of opportunity, equality of treatment, equality before the law, and equality of outcomes. When someone is talking about equality, it's important to know which kind they're talking about. So let's start with an easy one. Equal protection under the law. I think everyone is in favor of this. If not, there's always the comment section. Okay. What about equality of opportunity? That's a little trickier. Let's start with one notion of equality of opportunity. In absolute terms, there will never be equality of opportunity because some people will always have advantages or disadvantages compared to others. If you're born into a wealthy family, you're going to have a lot more opportunities. If you're attractive, athletic, or particularly bright, raised by two loving parents, same thing. It may not be fair in the grand scheme of things, at the level of what esteemed economist Thomas Sowell calls cosmic justice. But such advantages and disadvantages are unavoidable in this world. If, however, what we mean by equality of opportunity is ensuring that no external obstacles are placed in anyone's way, because of protected classes like race and sex and religion, so that all people can walk up to the foul line and take a shot at life's opportunities with the resources they have, then we can probably get most people on board. I think we're all probably in agreement with that kind of equality of opportunity. So it can be helpful to differentiate absolute equality of opportunity, which is impossible, from equal opportunity without discrimination. As for equality of outcomes, that subject gets a lot of attention. If you notice that there are unequal outcomes with regard to the pursuit of some worthwhile goal, it may behoove you to ask why. Why are there more men getting degrees in finance? Why are prisoners disproportionately black? Why are punters in football mostly white? Why are there more Japanese baseball players in the MLB than Chinese players? Why are there more female nurses and more male bricklayers? The answers obviously can be rather complicated. Unequal outcomes can surely raise questions and concerns about discrimination. Sometimes we may not notice discrimination happening, but we can see the results of it. Sometimes that explains the inequality of outcomes. However, unequal outcomes are not evidence prima facie of discrimination. Even when everyone is behaving with perfect virtue, different groups will have different interests, different resources, different priorities. Attributing unequal outcomes to discrimination, absent any evidence of discrimination, is a logical fallacy. Unfortunately, you'll find this happening on college and university campuses with considerable regularity. Okay, so where does this put us? Number 1, everyone wants equity, at least in principle. Number 2, we will always disagree about what equity looks like, even when we have the brightest, most informed, virtuous human beings discussing the particulars, because it's really hard to figure out exactly what justice looks like. Number 3, there are times we want people treated equally and times we don't want them treated equally. And, as per point 2, we're never going to agree on all this. Number 4, we all want people to have equality before the law. Number 5, perfect equality of opportunity does not and cannot exist. 6, we all want the removal of unjust discrimination to encourage more equality of opportunity, even if we disagree over what is just and what is unjust discrimination. Just think about affirmative action for a second. And finally, number 7, an inequality of outcomes may raise some eyebrows and may deserve investigation to determine its cause. Sometimes the cause will be discrimination, which should be corrected, and sometimes it will be a result of people's free choices. But you can't jump to conclusions. Wait for the evidence. And that's the story of the equity and equality kerfuffle. Thank you.